It's recording. You want to do the date and stuff, Bernadette, or you want me to?
I'm sorry, you could start, you can introduce the meeting.
Okay, so today is September 21st, 2023. It is 6:03 p.m. We are live streaming. I'm recording as a backup. This is the Executive Board of Community Board 11. We do have a quorum. We have 4 members of the board present and 1 online who already sent in an email regarding why they're online. Bernadette, and so I'll turn it over to you. All right,
Okay,
want me
yeah.
to share the agenda?
Yes, that would be good. Thank you.
I pull it up. Can you see that?
Not yet, there you go. Yep, actually got it all in there. Except for the conduct. The conduct
Yeah, I
statement.
mean, I can scroll down a little bit more.
Okay,
But it's not too, I mean, we can start with the conduct statement. Just remind people, these are, this is the preferred conduct, professional and hostile free environment. And I think everybody at this point knows the rest, but if you want, Bernadette, I can read the rest.
okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you just put up a little bit louder? Sorry, it's just for. Yeah.
Is that 100% already?
Where's the sheet?
Okay.
Yeah, I might want to have them look at, have the audit. I think I have a hard time hearing, like Cynthia, I could hear fine earlier, but then again, maybe it's, I have partial hearing loss and then my speaker may be going too, but I mean, I don't know, Hazel, can you hear Bernadette and everybody fine?
I'm
Yes, I
sorry, say
can.
that.
Okay.
Wait. We gotta try
So
something.
is my speaking volume low?
Yeah, well, it's low
then-
for me now. There you go, that's better, thank you. I appreciate it.
I raised it up on the TV, Jer.
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, today is Thursday, September 21st, this is the Executive Board meeting. We'll start with introductions. My name is Bernadette Ferrara, I'm Chair of Community Board 11. And I will start to my left,
Here's Malcolm Gray, Sergeant at Arms.
okay, to my right,
Veronica Castro, treasurer.
D'Angelo, Vice Chair.
and Hazel.
Hazel Mira, secretary.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
wait. Yeah,
And-
I'm in the right place.
Okay. We have a few issues, points of discussion that are on our agenda. And the first one is a proposal change elections requirement. This idea was brought to us from Naomi Pemberton, and our executive board has the required printouts in front of them. And this one is this is the first one that is just up for discussion. So I will read the proposal. This is from Naomi Pemberton. So it's hello, I propose adding a criteria to the submission of intent on becoming an executive board member. Any board member who applies to run for an office position should be subjected to a public forum of questions, such as a hearing. This is important as it will help to assess the intent and the mental capacity of volunteering their services to help administer the board and its agenda. This will allow the board to more readily vote, as everyone can ask any pending questions that may affect their community or perspective. The prospective candidate should attend a public hearing or question and an answer session. The current process is not working efficiently enough. Please see my attached assessment. The candidate should complete the evaluation to see how they feel about the board and its leadership. Also, they should take a personality test that elections committee should administer. There's a number 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 is occupational personality questionnaire. The SHL occupational personality questionnaire is a trait-based personality measure that measures a candidate's personality preferences in a place of work. And number 2, Sayville Consulting's Wave Professional Styles. And number 3, Cubic and Death Personality Questionnaire. My workflow suggestion is that the election committee provides the board with the intended candidates and then sets up a question and answer session similar to a debate. Then set up the public vote for the candidate. This is a suggestion that you'd like to propose to the bylaws committee and the entire board. Well, I felt at this point this should come before the executive board first. So what I'd like to do is our executive board with these, this is the first of 3. Have some sort of feedback on this suggestion. So I will go last because I've had more than enough time to read through. And also what is attached is just an example. These are suggestions at an example. There's I haven't researched Dalhousie University or even did any research as to what kind of feedback has already been done when this has been done in previous places. So I have not done that homework yet, but nonetheless, we're up for discussion. This is something that could possibly, will be further discussed and further researched. So I'd like to start off. I could start off on my left, Malcolm, if you want, or I could start off with Al, one to the other. Have you had a chance to really read it?
Been
No.
been a busy day today, so I have not.
I agree, me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so I honestly have not. Personally, I felt, I don't know. I would have loved to see the bylaws committee go through it.
It might go to the bylaws, it's
Yeah.
starting at the executive board
Yeah,
meeting.
to give their merit on it. I personally, I've done things like self-evaluation questionnaires, personality questionnaires for like personal development, student government, stuff like that. But I haven't really dwelled into it much right now to really get like a real flesh of the proposals, to be honest with you. So I'm really not prepared to give any type of opinion as of today.
Okay. Okay. Like I said, I'll give mine last. Al, do you want to?
Yeah, I need more time to go through this and evaluate my thinking on it. But one of the things that we do now is we do have a question and answer period. The person running for office gives a statement, and anybody who wishes to ask questions from the board can ask questions.
Yeah.
I don't know if that suffices, or I'd like to look further into this. I like this thing. I think this is a good idea, the evaluation thing. I'd like to, before I make an evaluation, I'd like to study a little bit. But I know we do have something now, maybe we're not doing it. Usually what happens, only one person's running. And usually if two people they both read out a statement, they send a statement to everyone. And then, the board has the opportunity to ask them whatever questions they want.
Mhm.
I mean, that might be enough, I don't know.
Okay. It rewards further review. But what about you, Veronica? What's your initial?
I haven't been able to read it through entirely, but I don't think a self-evaluation questionnaire for the board would be a bad idea. I haven't read through the questions, so I can't say this particular one would help the board. I'd have to read it further. Like Al said, we do have, I think this time around, the last election, I think we didn't have the question and answers. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but usually we do. We have the statement sent out and then we have 2 or 3 questions for each candidate that's running. They get to ask a question. So it's not like we haven't done that before. I'm not crazy about the idea of a debate because that could take forever and we have, business to attend on that same day. So I'm not sure about that, but asking questions,
Hmm.
that I have no problem with because we have done that in the past.
I think maybe we should formalize that part of it.
Yeah.
In other words, you said last time, that was not the case.
Right, so we can make that
So
to
make it
be
ma-
mandatory going forward, that we, the board can ask the candidates questions going forward. That's not something that we should just forego going, in the future. But, debate, I'm not sure about that, because that would take up a lot of time that we should be putting towards the community.
Yeah. Okay, Hazel, did you want to, I'll be the last person, so did you want to give some sort of initial feedback? Had you had a chance to read it over?
No, I haven't had a chance to read it fully. So yeah, I don't want to say anything until I actually do that. But we do have a mechanism in place now. It could be improved, and that's something that we need to talk about. So I'm thinking we should just table this until we all have a chance to really go through it.
Okay. Okay, like I said, this is something that, this is something to consider and I do apologize for not getting stuff out quick enough to everybody to read beforehand. But I want to do at least an initial. I'll just give you my opinion. I too, when I first read this, I was like, we do have a procedure in place. We do ask, I think it was we do ask 5 questions to anybody who is nominated, anybody who is, for, as for an officer, and we do, that is distributed to everybody. And if I am correct, when we do allow, or did we do that the last time? Did we allow for questions? When did we allow for questions from the candidates?
It was like somebody proposed it, but then it was asked to the full board, like, you want to do this really? And I was like, no.
So even after the 5 questions that were submitted and sent out to the full board and the public, so we didn't have, well, I mean, I think we should, I think that, a candidate should at least be able to answer questions, spontaneously on the day of election before a vote. I think that's important. In addition to what you read that gets sent out. But I'm very, very hesitant with something where we start to get into personality traits, and more in-depth specific things, because it could verge on some sort of discrimination at some point where it goes a little bit too deep. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. I've read through most of this, not all of it, so I will review it, but I don't know if this is necessary. I think it might be a little too much. But that's just my opinion and my feedback. And also there's something here where since everybody has a right to their opinion, the current process is not working efficiently enough. I think it is, because I think that the candidates are asked 5 questions and they're told to submit. If we make sure that on the day of election that everybody has the freedom to ask specific questions, I think that could help. I think that might improve on what we have. But my opinion right now is that this might be a little bit too, I could see this for a corporation. A private corporation might be able to do this with perimeters. So, I think that we should also look at possible perimeters also. So,
I'm not sure, I haven't read through all the questions, so I'm not sure if this would actually pertain to our board. This could just be, like you said, a corporation board. I mean, I don't think it'd be a bad idea, but we may have to look for something that's.
we might have to
more reflective
streamline
of
it.
Our board, yeah.
Yeah,
A community board rather than,
Yeah.
a corporate board.
I'm looking at this, it looks like it's more of a evaluation of maybe the chair of the board, maybe PM. We usually have processes to like assess the performances of the district manager, right? No? Or staff.
Yeah.
whatever. Maybe something like that, or even the chair, like we could possibly do like the chair starts a 2-year term, maybe like a year in, have an assessment as to how the performance of that chair is doing. So like they'll keep a certain balance of it, and then the chair could take that information and figure out, how to revamp, take the opinions of the board and move into their second year. That'd not be a bad idea.
So this, I mean, it,
Jeremy said he can
Yeah,
provide
this is-
input regarding recent past practices if necessary. From
Okay.
Jeremy.
right. Okay. Yeah, that, I mean, given what has been, what has and has.
So recent past practices, I mean, before COVID, we always used to allow for questions and stuff. I think it was during COVID when it was proposed that that candidates provide statements. And then I think when that was first done, like, well, we don't need questions, we have statements. Let's go on based on the questions or based on the statements. So it's been kind of, and then I think when Burnett ran for chair and Veronica, and Hazel and Rich, then I think there were 4 questions that were sent to the office, and then I think the nominating committee, they selected which 4 questions amongst all of them that were submitted that they wanted asked of the members. So it's kind of been, it's not necessarily been consistent. So
Okay.
So there's that. There's also, I'm not opposed to evaluations if it's done right and it's free of discrimination, which has not always happened in the past. But yeah, I think it's, starting at the top is a good idea. I mean, not just the chairperson, but maybe the executive board as a whole. Because the chairperson's term limited, but the other positions are not. Not that I don't, love the rest of the executive board.
But is there also a review that goes with the district manager? Is that something like for the district manager's position? Is there a review that goes to the full board?
So since I've been district manager since 2011, there are only 2 attempts to evaluate me, and those were done in 2019. The first
Okay.
one was thrown out, and ultimately became the subject of my current open EEO complaint.
Okay, but does that come from the borough president's office? I guess that's my question. Where does the assessment come from?
Al could talk more about that if he wants.
It came from the
The chair
president's office.
Oh, okay, that's what I wanted
He
to
asked them to give us some type of evaluation.
and
that
the
we
chair
can use in
evaluates
that
the
tool set up.
evaluation.
Okay.
But,
Okay,
and the evaluation was done by the executive board rather than the entire board.
Right.
okay,
Sometimes it's good for the entire board to have a say also,
okay.
just so that,
Okay, If the chair's
executive
gonna
board-
go on the chopping block,
executive
everyone
board
else
works-
has to.
the executive board works more closely with Jeremy. So you would know the district manager better than, some of the members that, you see him at meetings. But I think there should be something out there. I think this evaluation, again, it could be tweaked. So I think an evaluation like this is a good idea. It's always good to self-evaluate.
Okay, well, so I'll just ask the executive board to please go over the attachment. This is for the executive board at this point. I think this is very long.
Well, I think
I think
it
we can streamline.
Yeah, they have shorter versions of this.
Yeah, so, it's like a homework assignment.
I think a personality test, usually how I've seen them used, have been the head of whatever it is using them on their staff or whoever to figure out what's the best way to interact with different members of their team. Not necessarily to discriminate against them, but figure out, no, what's your learning style? You know, what's your, you know, how do you perform tasks? Do you need me to be on you, or do you need me to, you know, give you what we need to?
So, I mean, it seems like that's, I don't know if that's something, like if there's a candidate for a position, I don't know if that necessarily, if that would be part of it, because it's a little bit more of how do you handle a task, et cetera, or what would you do in this situation? Not how do we all work together? Because, you know, there's just so much going on. I think everybody has to learn how to work together. Okay, so, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't know. You know, that's where the feedback comes in. Maybe that could just like be a minimal one, you know, one or two questions. I mean, I've read books. I don't know if anybody else on personality plus, you know, type A, type this, et cetera, different kind of personalities, and you know, how different ones interact. I don't want to make this a whole like lecture, you know, because everybody's different. Everybody handles things differently. And whether we like it or not at this point, we're here. It's not like there's a boss to say, well, I'm gonna fire you. Okay, so it's that we're volunteers. So, but I mean, it's good for some assessment of, you know, maybe we can input certain situations that are important to our board that we could input. So I just I would like the executive board to look it over.
Okay.
And just, come back, you know, to be continued. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda,
Yeah, let me pull it up again, sorry.
yeah, thank you, is, finding a solution for drafting and publishing of committee minutes. Okay, I'll just read this was also a suggestion from Naomi Pemberton. And it was, hello, everyone. As you know, one of the most important aspects of the committee is to provide minutes. Currently, we have the role of chair and co-chair. I'm suggesting we have the role of secretary, where that person would be responsible for the communication of the committee. So the chair would do the agenda, and the secretary would make sure the agenda goes out on time. And then the minutes would be done by the secretary, or capturing the document via Zoom, or making sure people are linked to the transcripts of the meeting. But the secretary would be responsible for this function. And please let me know your thoughts. And there's a lot of other emails if you have time to read the thread. So I thought this was important to bring up to the executive committee, because there's a few different ways of looking at this. And I think both of them work. So presently what we have is we have a chair and a co-chair. It's up to the chair and the co-chair of the committee to assign the minutes to a person in the committee, okay, to the members. And right now, what a lot of other committees are doing is that they're doing rotation. So, and it's a fiscal year from September to June. So from September to June, we have 10 meetings. And for each meeting, a different person basically gets the opportunity or job, however you want to look at it, to do the minutes and make sure that they get done and get sent in a timely manner. So it really actually takes the opportunity, the pressure, the responsibility off to the chair and the co-chair. So that's presently what's being done now. And right now, with most of the committees have more than 8 people or close to 8 people on it, which means that throughout the whole fiscal year with the 10 meetings, you're going to do it once. Maybe one person or another person will do it twice. So it'll be only one time that it's gonna get assigned to you. So, that's what's presently be doing now. This concept is to have somebody outside of the chair and the co-chair be the secretary, and that person doesn't personally do it for all 10 meetings. That person has responsibility to say, okay, so-and-so is doing the meetings, and just basically be responsible to make sure that person gets them done in a timely fashion. So, I just like to go around. I'd like to see what everybody's opinions are. So I started with you before. I'll start with Al.
I think it's a heavy burden to put on the secretary of any committee to do all the minutes. I think rotating the minutes, as long as people are willing to rotate the minutes, and the secretary's job is to make sure the minutes are done. So in other words, if I'm sharing the committee and I'll say, okay, Veronica, this month you do it, and so on.
Okay, but that person doesn't, that secretary, the person's labeled as secretary, isn't that they do it every month.
Right, no.
No, but they're just responsible to get it done.
Right. The secretary is responsible to make sure it gets done, and whoever volunteers, and as you said, if there's 8 members, everybody takes one shot. Some people like to take minutes, they may volunteer to do it more than once, that's fine.
Yeah.
The
God bless
only
them.
thing is, and she's right, minutes have to be out in a timely manner. And that's something that.
The minutes are important.
Right.
Yeah,
If
I
people
mean,
want to see what was said. Especially with the committee meetings, because it's not taped. So they need the minutes to see what was said.
Veronica?
I agree. I mean, we have been told to circulate the responsibility of taking the minutes in our committees. I have a bad habit of not doing that. I either do it myself, or when I was on public safety with Tiz would be the one doing it most of the time. But I think in reality, circulating the responsibility of the minutes is not only good for the committee, it's good for the committee members, because each one will get to learn how to do it. So when it's their time to come up to chair or co-chair, they'll be able to help those other committee members to get it done. And the secretary, I'm fine with having a secretary, but again, not to be the one to have to write up all the minutes for every meeting. They won't, if the same person has to do the minutes, they're gonna miss out on some of the important things that are being
Yeah.
discussed in the meetings. So I think it should be every person in the committee should take a turn doing the minutes. And the secretary could just be the one to remind them, get the minutes together, or send them to me and I'll get them to Jeremy, or something along those lines, but not to be the one to always take them and format them for the board. That's my opinion.
Okay. Malcolm?
Personally, I could go either way. I mean, I like the idea of rotating minutes to spread the responsibility for the learning experience of it also. But like the meeting is also recorded, so you can just always go back and look over the meeting and do the minutes that way if you wanted to. But I do like the idea of circulating. I don't necessarily think it has to be the secretary to do it, but the chair of the co-chair can continue to reach out to whomever person's job is that month to do the
Right.
minutes and ensure that it gets sent to Jeremy.
Right. That's true too.
Hazel?
I don't think there's a need for a secretary. I think that the chair and the co-chair should, take that responsibility of making sure that the minutes get done. I do like the rotation because in the past I've always had to do my own minutes. And lately I've been asking for volunteers, but I do appreciate everybody taking a turn, so it's not the same person doing it.
Okay. Okay, I happen to agree. I happen to agree with that, agree with Malcolm said also, that I feel the chair and the co-chair at the beginning, like September, says, all right, we have 10 meetings, we have this many members, so I'm going to assign at the get-go, okay? You do September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, June. you're gonna be the one up to do the minutes. And whoever's job it is that month to do the minutes, it's their responsibility, of course, with the chair or co-chair, just making sure that they get them done in a timely fashion. So if the chair or co-chair just has to say, how are you doing with the minutes? Let's make the deadline on this day, give a deadline and say, okay, they gotta be done on, this is your drop dead deadline. So if there's any questions, check where the video is, come back with me with questions. I don't think there's a need to have a secretary, another title. I just think being a member of a committee and participating and asking questions and dealing with whatever is brought to the committee is a priority more than having an additional thing. Of course, that one person will have that responsibility, but it'll only be for that one meeting. So, and that's, that's my opinion. I don't feel that there's a need for a secretary. I think there's just a little bit of communication from September and just saying, you're gonna look at all your members. Next meeting, you say, okay, you're gonna do this October, November, December, etc. Put it on your notes so that you know that it's that's your month. So, that's how I feel. That's my opinion on this. So, I don't know, in this particular situation, should we take a vote on it? Since it's something or do we already have a vote?
Was there a motion put forward?
I'm sorry?
Was there a motion?
Oh, okay.
We're
There was
supposed
no
to do
motion,
motion.
it's just a discussion. There's no-
Yeah.
Oh, wait, the motions are after our discussion.
So if we want to make. a
Well,
motion-
Bert, is this a bylaw proposal from Naomi? Or is it not? Just a suggestion?
No, this is a
Yes.
committee suggestion with regards to minutes.
There's no
So
reason.
she doesn't want to make it a bylaw proposal. It's just a suggestion.
Personally,
No,
It was a suggestion. We're discussing the suggestion.
Yeah, no, because if it's a bylaw proposal, then I gotta put it in the full board agenda. But no, that's fine. I just want to we can clarify this at leadership too.
person,
Yeah.
since you're the chair,
Yeah.
since you're the chair, you could just make a mandate to the chairs. to
Well,
like this work.
just so you know that at the end, I have a checklist.
Well, yeah,
Hard-
yeah, I saw that.
That's sort of the next thing.
Yeah, you just mandate
So
that for them.
and you could see, I wasn't able, my printer started to die, so I forgive my page is very, very faint. Okay. But, I don't think it's really it's not, to me as a chair, it's not a bylaw. I think it's really a committee procedure that we can vote on after the last discussion. Okay?
Okay.
The last, so, we will make a motion with this after we, finish our last,
Take that one session.
yeah, after the gallery. So the next thing on our agenda, is an in-person committee meeting requirements. So, I have proposed a checklist, okay, of in-person committee meeting requirements or a checklist. This is a first draft because I really do feel that it could be added to or improved on. This is just a first place to start. And I did put it in a timeline. In other words, a progressive way of doing it. So I'll read it off for those that do not have this. Okay. The first place is all chairs and co-chairs must learn the procedure to open/close the board office and set up/shut down online in the boardroom for meetings. If you cannot do this, you are responsible to find assistance. Number 2, chairs and co-chairs collect contact information of all your specific committee's members, and send out group text, group emails as meeting reminders. 3, chairs and co-chairs discuss before meetings, guest speakers and topics, so agendas get submitted in a timely manner. 4, all meetings are in person as of June 20th, 2023, or was it 2021? Whatever, it's either June 21st or June 20th. Only committee members and guest speakers sit at the board table. All guest board members and members of the public sit elsewhere. If necessary, with large attendance, board members and guest speakers sit to one side of the table. And this is done to show a quick reference to all attending and online attendees who are committee members and who are the public. 5, please check with staff before your meeting to see if you have a registered speaker. If not, members of the public must wait until committee members are done with the agenda to ask questions or give statements. The chair will make the chair of the committee will make this announcement and start asking for those members of the public if they'd like to speak. 6, any member of the online public who wishes to speak must put on their video. If your device has a broken camera, use another device. If you want to speak online at any Bronx CB11 meeting, you will be asked to submit your statement in writing if your video is not available. Number 7, if any committee member cannot attend an in-person meeting, they must email Jeremy and the staff 24 hours in advance for our records. If you do not, you will be marked absent. If you do not and attend online without an email beforehand, you will be marked absent, not excused. Remember, we must have an in-person quorum to have a meeting and to vote. And last, number 8, sorry. The chair or co-chair will state before the meeting starts who's going to take the meeting minutes. The chair or co-chair will explain that a different member for each meeting will take the minutes in rotation. A minutes template is in process of being completed, and it will be distributed to all the board members. There are 10 committee meetings during the fiscal year, and given that many committees have 8 or more members, each member will probably be given this task once, maybe twice a year. The person who is taking the minutes must submit them to Jeremy in a timely manner so that they are posted online as soon as possible. And number 9, as a chair or co-chair, it is a good suggestion to have introductions on your agenda and quickly state to all in attendance the procedures of that meeting. So this is just a place to start. Okay. So I'm sorry, I really got into it and I really just went through just as a checklist for everybody to have so that they don't have to think about it. Okay. And this could be changed. This is a first draft. So we can, what do you think about it? Do you feel that checklist is good or it's worth it to have one?
Yeah, I think it's, I think checklists are good to have. So I think it's a good idea. No qualms on my end.
Everybody else?
Yeah, definitely a good idea to have a checklist. And I think most, if not all, the points you have on here are stuff that we should be doing anyway, so it's good.
That's like,
I can't see your video, Veronica. Is it just mine? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's something we could look over and have people look over and see if there's anything that takes out. It's fine.
So, all right, so what do you think, Hazel? Did you get a chance to look at it at all?
No, but I listened to what you were saying. They sound good. I'm a little concerned about the part about if you're If you're not, you don't email and you show up, you're still going to be marked absent. I think people need a little leeway regarding that because I had every intentions of going to the board today, but I just wasn't feeling good after I left the doctor's office. So I think maybe that could be changed a little bit because things do happen. But I think the checklist is a great idea.
All right, yeah, I really, this is how, this was just my opinion for the checklist with regards to that. It's, if somebody has a situation that happens right away, I just want everybody, their first thing is to send an email, send a text message, to Jeremy, at least to Jeremy, so that, or an email is the best, because then we have a record. Okay, if somebody got sick in the afternoon and like you said, you had the, you basically were like, no, I was going to be there, but there's just no way I can make it because of how I felt. Just send an email, so we have it as a record. But if you show up online and you don't even send an email, that's like, if that's what we really want people, we want everybody to do that firsthand. So that they're like, okay, fine, I'm not feeling good. It's an hour before the meeting. I can't even lift my head off the pillow. Yeah, I'll send an email. I'm not gonna make it. I can't do it. I'm not physically not feeling well, or I have my babysitter didn't show up. My car broke down or whatever. It's just accountability. Because
Yeah,
Most-
I'm not saying not to send the email.
yeah,
I'm just saying that, you can't always send, you can't always know 24 hours before whether you're going to get sick or not.
yeah. Well, if a car breaks
yeah,
down
no.
on the highway, there's no way. I mean, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, but you do have your phone
Yeah.
if it's charged.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I think you should let everybody know that you're not going to be able to attend. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Bernadette,
you Yes.
ideally you send an email to the chair of the committee
Yeah.
or chairs and CC staff, right? Or the chair or the head of the board, the executive board or the full board, right? Ideally, even
I
though,
usually ask my committee, I usually ask them to send a email to me being the chair, you being the chair, and Jeremy, so that way everybody knows.
Yeah, everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
but I also say Harry and Chris because they like, depending upon my, work schedule, personal situation, whatever, they can kind of tell me things when I ask them if there's anything new or whatever,
Yeah, they could be at.
cover all bases.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, that's good too, to send it to your chair also.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, no, I like that. Okay, okay, this is good. This is good. So I appreciate everybody's input. Now, okay, next on our agenda is, the gallery session. So, I did not check to see if there were any registered speakers. So,
I'll check while you call on people. How's that?
Okay, well,
okay.
That's what I do. I have to turn the police channel.
But lately we've not been having any.
okay.
Do I have to keep my hands safe?
You got,
Yeah, here.
Tiz also.
Jeremy did make one good point in the chat, and I'm sorry we didn't see it beforehand. When you do minutes, it's not supposed to be a verbatim transcript of the
Right,
meeting. It's
bullet.
supposed to be bullet points of what was discussed in the meeting, and then people could look at the video later to get more information if they see something on the minutes they want. But it shouldn't be a long transcript of what happens. I was guilty of that in the beginning.
So was
Jeremy
I.
hated when I sent the minutes.
Just so you know, with regards to that, Jeremy, I don't know if you had gotten a text, I think you got a text message from Joanne. She's gonna put a template. She has a template of how to do minutes. And she's going to send it to you. probably next week. Okay, so she already said that she has something, half of something that, you know, she's basically used for herself. And
Yeah.
she went over it, she quickly went over it with me, and I said, wow, this is really good. So she's gonna add to that, and she's going to send it to you, and then we can spread that out to the chairs and co-chairs and get input.
I'm gonna do cartwheels.
Yeah, Cynthia submitted something too in the past.
Cartwheels right now.
Um,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I said, I'm gonna do cartwheels right now. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that she already.
So you have a
know,
template,
That's what I
yeah.
said, we already had that, it was already in process. All right,
Oh,
so yeah, so it's just, it didn't get to a first draft where it got out to even the executive board and really to all the chairs and co-chairs. Really it's the chairs and co-chairs, because then they can have input. And actually it should go, I don't know, it should go to the whole board.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
So
so,
that they know
yeah,
how,
so
yeah.
everybody has some sort of input on it. Because, I mean, I spoke to her, I saw it, I said, wow, these are really good ideas. I really like this. So that's why I had her connect with Jeremy and just say, she'll start with the first draft, et cetera, and then it'll get improved on. And everybody, and then after that, everybody, every chair and co-chair, I mean, everybody can modify it the way they really want to, because when you're a chair and a co-chair, you can customize your committee.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that's.
you know, I mean, to the point where, you know, at least, you know, there's some basic things that are being followed.
Mhm,
And
Right.
then, as long as like, you know, there's nobody standing, you know, with a lampshade on the head for entertainment before everything. Okay,
Right.
so just perimeters,
Right.
right? So,
No,
So,
that's
so
awesome.
far, we have Phyllis in person who wants to speak, then Bob Press had his hand out, and Roxanne Delgado says she would like to speak, but she would like to be last. So
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else wants to speak that's on WebEx, but if you do, please put up your hand or write it in the chat, and we can get started with the gallery session with those.
okay, so we'll start with Phyllis, since she's been here.
Okay. As far as this personality questionnaire assessment, it screams discrimination. Absolutely not. I think it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. We are volunteers. We do not get paid for what we do here. If we were appointed, we already went through this process with the borough president. If I don't agree with some of Veronica's viewpoints, does that mean she won't make a good treasurer? Does that mean she won't make a good chair? It's nothing to do with it. I'm highly against that. I think it's totally discriminatory. It sounds like an agenda to me.
What type of agenda?
An agenda for people to get what they want in this community board.
To act personality
Okay.
test? Or that you do?
Okay,
so what's the agenda?
what-
We're not gonna do that.
No, I'm
there's
just asking
no
a question.
back.
I wanna understand. I'm just
You're-
trying to
when you
understand.
speak- Yeah.
I just wanted to understand. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So Phyllis, all right, thank you, Phyllis. Okay, Bob Press is next.
2 items. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was vice chair of 2 committees on Community Board 8, and in order to be the vice chair, you took the minutes. That was one of the requirements. It should be that one person takes the minutes, because the chair is going, if you're going to rotate, the chair is going to have to see how up to 10 different people write minutes. Whereas if one person does it, the chair and that person who writes the minutes can get together and know exactly what those minutes are. That's one point. Second point, at the Housing Committee, it was discussed, my community membership. I'd like to know if that's going to happen this year or not.
Say that again, Bob, I'm sorry.
It was discussed at the Housing Committee, my community membership on the committee. I'd like to know if that's going to happen this year or not.
Yes, it's going to happen. Okay,
Thank you very much, then.
thank
Okay,
you.
so Cynthia Rodriguez has her hand up, Roxanne's.
Wants to
asking
be last.
So,
Okay, did you want to speak, gallery in the back? No, I'm just gonna put you on the list.
Yes, please.
Okay, so put,
right
Yeah,
after
me,
Cynthia.
okay. All right, so, okay, so next Cynthia?
So I just wanted to share my thoughts about the whole election interview or questioning period. I do think that that's a good opportunity for us to see how a potential officer handles themselves in situations of high pressure and questioning. So that's that. The issue with the secretaries, I definitely think that there should be a clear designation at the start of each meeting, whether or not it's a, you know, a position or a designated title such as secretary, I'm open. But it should definitely be clarified at the start of a meeting. That should be part of like the introduction for each committee meeting. So and so is going to be taking the minutes today, etc. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Okay, Naomi?
Oh, okay, so, in regards to the secretary and the ideas surrounding that, maybe we can have the committees make their own decision if they want to designate a secretary or take turns. So.
I was just gonna say that, to
Yeah.
make the option for the
So,
chair and the co-chair can make the option for their committee.
but.
I actually just wrote that down.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, we're probably on the same.
Right, I just wrote that down because I meant to say that
But I
before.
just asked that if the board or we decide to do that, then we communicate what we're doing. Like, so if I'm ethics, I'm going to tell you, we're gonna take turns.
Well, that's your
Yeah.
responsibility at the
To tell-
beginning of your meeting,
Yeah,
the chair and the
but I'm
chair.
just saying, you know.
And you speak to
just
your
let-
co-chair, the
Right.
chair and the co-chair have to speak to each other and agree.
Correct.
And then at the beginning of your meeting, you say, this is how we're going to work this,
Exactly.
and this is what the secretary will do, and there'll be, however you want to work it, talk, but communicate that it's a rotation, and the secretary's job is to just make sure it gets done in a timely fashion.
Exactly.
And other people and other committees, if they say, well, you know what, I really don't want to work it that way, I just want to work it, you know, the way we have been doing it with the rotation,
Then that's
and it's a
fine.
choice.
Yeah.
It's an option. But it's good to basically let chairs and co-chairs know there's an option for the structure of your committee.
Right.
There's an option.
Mhm.
Whatever works. You might find that after 2 or 3 meetings, having the secretary, et cetera, and it's not working.
Mhm.
You have an option to change it back.
Right.
It's up to the chair as long as the chair and the co-chair talk to each other.
Mhm.
Talk to each other, communicate.
We have 5 minutes left before the
Sorry.
leadership meeting.
Sorry, thank you. I know, shut up, Ern.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
It's okay, I get the hint.
I'm sorry, just, one more thing, I just wanted to talk about elections, I just think it's important, when you're choosing executive board, that we have enough information. I've been on the board going into my 4th year. And, a lot of the times, the leadership writes a nice statement, and that's great, but I really don't get to know the candidates. I can't act, I would like to ask more questions, but we don't ever have time. Like,
Yeah,
10 hours.
we did discuss it already.
oh, you did? Okay, I just want to make that comment.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah, which, and one of the things was that, you know, there's already something in place that we have questions that are asked, but there should be more time for board members to ask questions,
Yeah, and think about.
you know, so that there's, so, which what Jeremy was saying, kind of wasn't done the last time.
Okay,
Oh.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was done in the past, but the last election, I think
We
it was
didn't get that.
decided that we forego this election, but we were saying it shouldn't be an option to forego it anymore. It should be mandatory that they be asked questions, like, but a limit because, you know, the time. But
Absolutely.
we could sit down and decide how many questions each
Yeah.
person would get.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, great.
Okay, so, last is, Roxanne.
Yes, hello. I'd just like to state, please, that the open meetings law does require documentation to be attached to the agenda to be discussed by the committee or meetings. And not only is it for transparency's sake, it helps members of the public, like myself, to follow along with the discussion, which I could not because all the documents that were being discussed was not attached to the agenda, as well as, you know, the co-naming street. I still haven't received those names and addresses as I requested. And it's going to be voted on next Wednesday. And lastly, regarding the hunting club, the survey was still not provided to the public or at the meeting, nor attached to the agenda. And there is concerns because the hunting club was rated in 2021 by the sheriff for gambling machines. From my understanding, it's still under the same ownership. I could be incorrect. And lastly, it's a strip of homeowners. They would have liked to be notified about this to express any concerns. So I just like to ask this committee, please make sure these documentations, which are public, are attached to the agenda so people can be more informed, follow along with your discussion, and even perhaps provide insightful comments. And one last request, please, regarding these surveys. I'm not going to be for it or against it, it's an in-house decision. But if you're going to go ahead with the surveys, it has to be done by an outside source, because I worked for many companies in the past, and you could be charged with discrimination if you do an in-house survey. It has to be done by a neutral party which has no agenda or inherent biases. And you know what? We could all deny all we want, but every individual has inherent biases. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I am curious about the
What?
I am curious what she said about the gambling thing.
Yeah.
Do we have any information regarding that?
They were
I
rated,
hear you, what?
they were rated once before for gambling. I don't know if it's the same owner. I don't know, or, Chris isn't on, but I don't believe it was in 2021. I don't think it was that
So
close.
Veronica, what Chris explained to me what happened last night is you voted on the condition that the police department gives a thumbs up.
Right,
So that's what's going to be discussed at the next meeting under the leadership agenda.
right. So I'll let
Just-
you get that all clear
Yeah,
from
just
the
to,
police station.
just to
We're not-
clarify, the police did not do this raid. It was done by the sheriff's office. So this is something you should contact the sheriff's office. And
They
there's
work
also
in
an issue with that.
conjunction together. They work together.
I understand. I'm just trying to make sure everything's done properly. And also the community was not notified. The survey was not provided. So I think we should provide more time for the community. And also there was the information regarding the house of worship for the OCM. The house of worship is registered as a house of worship. It was not the reason why OCM did say that they were not a house of worship. It's because they're not a standalone building. But I'm not going to take your time, but there was some misinformation. I just hope that we could put this documentation on the agenda so we could provide insightful information in advance. That's all. Thank you.
We'll
Right,
bring up the sheriff's office issue to the PD. Thank you.
I'm so sorry, Ms. Delgado? Are you still there?
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said that according to the open meetings law, that we're
Yes.
supposed to have documents attached to the agenda? Is that correct?
Correct. And I can send you, if you don't mind, by email later tonight or tomorrow morning, the exact law on open meetings law, if you'd like to see for yourself.
Yeah, if you could send that to me, I'd appreciate it. If you could do it tonight, I'd
No worries.
appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Thank you.
I'm meeting
And
with
for
someone
the-
tomorrow.
Economic Development Committee, we did have the questionnaires, I believe it was, or was it the applications? There were documents attached for each location on the agenda.
Yeah, the
It
notice
wasn't
form.
it wasn't on the agenda, and you actually provided the survey to the applicant at the meeting to fill out.
Right, because they
And it-
didn't have, so that was also part of the thing. They had to have that in by Friday.
Yes, but the public still hasn't have access to those documentations for their purview.
Well, we didn't have it, so that's why it wasn't attached to the agenda. We can't attach something that we don't have in our possession at the
I
moment.
agree with you, but then you have to table it for a next month meeting because the people have a right to purview these documentation before the committee takes a vote on it, because we may have an objection. But since we don't have access to those documentations to no fault of yours, and it should have been tabled. That's all I'm saying.
The vote
Well,
that we
it
had.
could still get tabled. I mean, it's not guaranteed to be voted on.
I was just gonna say.
Right, if we don't get information, if we don't get the application from them and we don't get any feedback from the 490 precinct, this very well may get tabled because we need that feedback in order to make an
Yeah.
educated decision. We may not have complaints from the public for a place, but we need to know if the 490 precinct has had any record of any complaints.
Right.
So
The-
that's why.
The committee was not notified just because it was just posted on agenda. There was no public notice on the city record or any local papers or even on your social media pages. This is an ongoing issue where the public is being circumvented, not intentionally, but due to a lack of notice. But I'm not going to go, I just bring this forth to your attention. You could just ignore it or really consider that we need to have public input, because not only does it make the community work stronger, it gets the people involved in issues, and you'd be surprised how much input I get from community, that things that I never knew I was told by communities who live here for longer than I have. We have to really consider public input and how valuable it is for everybody to do their work. That's all. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, I just want to ask one quick thing. I know that, for the executive board with, I don't know with the executive board, and I will have to check if the documents have to be part of the agenda. Because it's to discussion of the executive board. I am gonna look into
Well,
that.
I think
Yes,
it would
if
be
you're asking
because
me-
it's public meeting.
If you're asking the public to
All right.
speak about
I-
it, they should know what this.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna confirm tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, we should have, if we have something to publish, we should. I mean, we do, that's what we did with economic development. It's just a habit in some ways.
She said it's any public meeting, so probably.
Yeah, no, it would apply to the executive board, but
Yeah,
you
Oh,
know,
we're-
it's-
It's a
we're
open.
doing our
Okay.
best.
Wanted to confirm that because then I would have done it. Well, I got it to everybody late anyway, so I did my apology, so I have to apologize to the full public now. So, because I did not even get it to the executive board in time, because I was having issues making my PDFs. Anyway, so.
Oh, it's
Okay.
29th, sorry.
Okay, so we're gonna make we're just gonna make a quick motion.
Yeah.
The one that. I'm sorry, that's yours. That's yours.
You can put that on.
Okay, so, the election requirements and, et cetera, that's the one with the, I'm just double checking. That's the one that we're gonna table for further discussion with the questionnaire. Okay,
Yeah,
and then the one about the minutes. I'd like to make a motion on the second one about finding a solution for drafting and publishing committee minutes. That it is up to the chair and the co-chair of the committee to make a secretary position be available, or they could choose to do their own rotation. And I'll leave it up to the discretion and the choice of the chair and co-chair of that particular committee. To appoint the secretary or to just choose those for the rotation to make the minutes.
Second.
So, any discussion? Any opposition? All in favor?
I,
Aye. All right, motion carries. Okay, and the in-person committee meeting requirements. I'd just like to make a motion that we all review it and we improve and add on it.
I don't think we need a motion for that.
I don't think we need a motion for that. I was just, we
No.
don't need a motion for that. No, okay, sorry. So this is something that,
That was homework.
that's homework.
Yeah.
Well, this is all, so is number one with the motion. That is homework.
Mhm.
Okay. So I want everybody to streamline the questionnaires and to really read that, okay? So, okay,
For that,
yes,
I think so I know Ms. Delgado is going to send Naomi the open meetings law text. Just remember that it also says that to the extent practicable and within available funds, there are
Okay.
exceptions to that law. to
Yeah,
that rule.
thank you
Okay.
so much, Sharon.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I could send it to Naomi or whomever too.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Some other people present.
Okay, thank you
So
so
I'll-
much.
See, we have a couple of people. All right, I'm sorry. Let's
Okay.
finish this meeting.
All right, all right, so the motion, there's only one motion that's being
Right.
made. The other is homework
Right,
and the other is, two homeworks.
no homework, yeah,
Okay,
okay, so.
all right, great. So, any old business, new business?
I have new business.
Okay,
No? All right,
Yeah.
welcome to his new business.
So I know we're not gonna talk about this today, yes. I really think we have to formulate a strategy with the leadership committees and everyone in committee on the community board to figure out how we can distribute the information regarding City of Yes and how we can break it down because it is very, very extensive. We do need to reach out to the various CBOs, organizations in the community to get their input and to also figure out a way to use the committees to have, I think at some point, every committee should have a town hall and some kind of workshop with DCP to figure out how does those proposals affect what they oversee and how we can figure out how it works for our community and what input we will put into it to make it better. I think that we wait till March, April, where they look into that vote, it's going to be hell.
Yeah, we're gonna try and get them in for, one of our meetings in economic development. But that would be only like a 15-20 minute, presentation. Maybe there's some way of doing, Brian, can you get the door, can you? Why'd you send it around, Brian?
The gate.
Yeah.
Oh, the gate, that means the door's not open. Yeah, so we could.
Oh, the
see
monitor
if we
didn't go
could
on.
some More extensive
Okay.
Right.
for the community board to have, not just a 20 minute thing, maybe something longer with more information.
Right.
Okay,
The bell's not working.
okay, so, okay. I guess that was old business, new business.
Motion
Okay,
to-
so I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and time is,
Jeremy, do we need a quorum for the leadership committee?
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
So I-
in-house,
What's that?
or was that way, do we have to have?
You need a quorum in person. But let me end this meeting and we'll go and check it out. We'll see who shows up. I did put a link for the open meetings text, and I did put the exact paragraph that talks about 24 hours in advance, and it does say where practicable. I'll email that out though.
All right, thanks, Jeremy.
Yep, all right. So what time the meeting ended? 7:05? 7 what?
7:09,
7:09.
7:09. All right.
and we're leaving.